We're in fact also now being joined by another special guest, Mahesh Jethmalani, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India and former member of Rajya Sabha, is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for being with us today on NewsX. Mahesh Jethmalani, what is your first reaction to this probe conclusion which has come out today of serious misconduct in these proceedings?
Well, I mean, the findings, the final conclusions certainly indict the judge. I mean, they say that there's a strong case. There are some remarks which suggest that he may actually have been responsible for the money disappearing between 14th and 15th of March when the fire broke out. Right. So I think there are some very serious observations against him. But the best. I was hearing Justice Justice Call of the Supreme Court say that the best possible solution would be for Justice Varma to resign, and I certainly agree with that. I mean, I think it's causing the institution a lot of harm, right? And it's causing personal damage to the image of the judge himself, and I don't see why he doesn't realize that. The possible only reason why he is not resigning is because if he resigns, he loses the protection of Veeraswamy's case, which is that, only the Chief Justice of India can sanction his his investigation and prosecution for any offenses. And I disagree with Justice Call. I was listening to him. I disagree with him on one aspect, right? This doesn't have to be bribe money. Right? If there is a large amount of money, right, in cash, right, that itself raises a suspicion of the commission of a crime. What that crime is that it is disproportionate assets. Now, the finding of the 3-judge inquiry committee is very clear on one aspect, that the only persons who had access to that outhouse in which the fire took place and the money, both in sacks on the ledges and sacks on the floor, were found. The only person who had access was the family, was Justice Varma and his family, and members of his staff, who could only access it under his authority. Those findings are very clear. So, look, if this kind of amount was found with anybody else, right, and what happened, what happened between the 14th and the 15th is shocking. I mean, there are about 15 fire officers and police officers put together who have said there were half-burnt 500 rupee notes all over the outhouse. Now, are they all lying? And then, again, Justice Call is right there when he says that, perhaps the police should have sealed those premises. And that seems to be a grave error on their part.
Yes.
But that the money was there and that after Justice Varma came in.
That has been established.
It ceased not to be there in the outhouse.
Yes.
Is, according to me, an extremely startling and incriminating fact. Now, I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to prejudice this case against Justice Varma. Yeah. We all know he's been a very fine, exemplary judge in the past. He's had a great reputation. Yes. But antecedents alone can't help you, right? When there are circumstances of an extremely serious, and
how much damage do you believe? Mahesh Jethmalani, how much damage do you believe this alleged black money has done to the prestige, though, of the entire institution?
Once something like this happens, it just snowballs. I mean, it snowballs in the sense that people say that you can't trust the judiciary. Everybody gets tainted by this kind of an incident. And it doesn't help that the judiciary, which has arrogated itself the power to cleanse its origin stables, right, through Veeraswamy's case, right? It itself has done that no judge should be harassed for the performance of his duties by frivolous allegations, right? But then, are these frivolous allegations? And we are well now past 3 months from this incident. Either you say there is nothing, right? Or please, for God's sake, any ordinary citizen on these circumstances would have been prosecuted, right? There would have been investigation at least, if not a prosecution.
Yes. Yes.
So please let the criminal law take its course, right? He may, he may not even be ultimately found. The case may not be found worthy of a charge sheet, right? But why would you not let that happen?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you let the procedure of investigation go on? I am a little astounded, right?
Yes.
Because
Now,
then
Justice
it shows
Kaul, in that previous interview, has said perhaps the most prudent step for this individual would be to step down. Why do you believe Mr. Jethmalani has not already resigned?
I said that at the outset. The reason why he didn't possibly resign is because if he resigns, he ceases to be a public servant. And if he ceases to be a public servant, the protection afforded to a sitting judge of the High Court, the Supreme Court, from investigation and prosecution goes away. He no longer has that protection. Then he actually, right, can be prosecuted. But so long as he's a public servant, and he's a public servant till he either resigns or Parliament removes him. Right? So now it's up to Parliament to first remove him, and then Veeraswamy, right, kicks it.
Yes. Do you believe, looking at this report now and its contents, that criminal proceedings should be initiated?
Look, I mean, I don't want to usurp the Chief Justice of India's jurisdiction, right? But yes, I mean, I have to say that in my very humble view, right, this is a case for an investigation at least. And certainly that should be sanctioned.
Okay, okay. Now, how much also damage has been done already to the credibility of his rulings as well? If it's now indeed suggested in this report today that there was alleged corruption, this money was there at his residence, how much damage has been done to the rulings that he will perhaps be giving in the next few days?
I can't give you an answer in terms of quantum, exact quantum.
Yes.
But it certainly is an extremely damaging, it certainly does put a cloud. Almost any disgruntled litigant now will stand up and say, look, I don't know whether I got a fair judgment in my case, any disgruntled litigation. So, that's more reason why the matter needs to get a quick closure, right? Because unless that is done, nobody is going to trust. Forget this judge, the judiciary, because it is now only the judiciary who can clean it. And as I said, the judiciary assumed this power. They interpreted Article 124 of the Constitution to say so. And now if they don't do it, having assumed that part or arrogated that part of themselves by judicial construction, it will be a very sad day for the judiciary and for the litigating public.
The judiciary also, Mr. Jethmalani, is so important for the running of our country. It's a very important pillar in our democracy. What should be done now to ensure that rogue actions do not demean the judiciary as a whole?
Look, there are only two alternatives the way you can deal with this, right? This may or may not be symptomatic of a larger malaise within the institution, right? There's only two ways you can deal with it, right? Prima facie, it's a case for investigation, right? And stepping down by the judge, but he doesn't want to do so. Right? The first part is a part of saying, let's forget an investigation, etc. Right? In which case, the judiciary is failing in the duty which it has, as I keep saying, right, itself cast upon itself. That's one way of doing it. Then there will be no deterrent. There will be no deterrent at all for future.
Okay.
You investigate this at least, right?
Yes.
And show that you are serious about instances of possible, let me put the case at its best, possible judicial corruption, right? The system has failed us, and there will always be nagging questions, and the judiciary will only have itself to blame.
Okay. My final question to you before we let you go. You've also been a parliamentarian, Mr. Jethmalani. Is that where the onus is going to lie now on Parliament? Next, what happens next in this case? Mr. Jethmalani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What happens next in the case? Is it going to be up to Parliament to decide?
Well, I'm told that, yes, I've been told that I'm no longer a member of Parliament, but I've been told that certainly Parliament is taking up this issue in the forthcoming session, and, all parties have been sounded out about it. So,
what's the procedure? You've been an MP yourself, you understand procedure. What's going to be the procedure then?
Well, I mean, there's got to be, the procedure is that there's got to be a petition first by at least 50 members of either house, and then there will be a vote taken in Parliament, and that vote basically, in a nutshell, I'm telling you, there will be a vote taken ultimately. Right? The judge, of course, will be given a chance either through his counsel. I remember Kapil Sibal had done it once for Justice Ramaswamy. He'll have a right, of course, to defend himself against impeachment. And finally, a vote will be taken. The case against him will be set out. The defense will then reply, and the matter will be put to vote. And if it's a special majority, right, 2/3 of those present and voting in both houses, right, will constitute the green signal for going ahead with his removal.
Okay. Appreciate you joining us, Mahesh Jethmalani, with your perspective on this big story.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.